Hello, I'm Jonathan Lack, editor of Horriffic Violence Theater. I'd use a camera and show you my face, but Joe Bob Billy, creator and animator of the show, is really paranoid about that. His brief appearance in the clip show kinda freaked him out, even though he had a mask, and now he won't even let people hear him. So basically, he won't let me show my face. I guess that means he, cares about me, which is nice, but, never mind. Anyway, Joe Bob and I love watching TV, and one of our favorite shows is Aaron Sorkin's Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. For those of you who don't know, Aaron Sorkin's claim to fame is the show The West Wing, which ran for 7 seasons and was canceled by NBC execs because of low ratings. Now, by low ratings, I mean the show wasn't up to its standards of 20 million viewers like in its early years. For some reason, this surprised NBC. They forgot that they'd been moving the show around their time schedule for the last few seasons, thus disconcerting viewers, and finally landing it in the highly competitive Sunday night slot. For some reason, they thought that moving the show out of its successful time slot and experiencing lower ratings was a surprise. Well, NBC hasn't treated Sorkin's new show, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, as kindly. Now, I know lots of people hate this show. I respect that. Joe Bob Billy would probably crush your head in with a hammer if he learned that, but, I respect your opinion. Anyway, I love this show, and many others do as well. This show hasn't been a ratings juggernaut, but NBC is a big network, and a studio averaging 7 million viewers a week isn't half bad. ABC's Lost doesn't even have twice that, and I don't see them pulling the plug on that. See, in mid-February, NBC put the show on hiatus. It will return in a new Thursday night time slot previously owned by ER on May 24th. It doesn't take a genius to realize that NBC is pulling the plug on this show after the last 6 episodes air. They're putting it back after the TV season is over, when reruns rule the network. It's not a good sign. But why? 7 million viewers isn't huge or anything, but NBC is trailing in the ratings anyway, behind networks like Fox and ABC. An extra 7 million viewers can't hurt, can it? Plus, Studio 60 is watched by a demographic that every station needs more of. Households with an income of more than $75,000 and 4 years of college. It ranks good in this demographic, despite its otherwise lower ratings. And let's not forget the show is up against CSI Miami. Hey, 7 million viewers is great when you're up against that kind of show. Studio 60 also adds an extra 11% to its viewership with the Live Plus 7 ratings, which are DVR or TiVo ratings. Nielsen Media Research monitors the digital recording views, and 11%, or another million viewers, give or take, watch the show in the week after it airs on their DVR. Studio 60 is also one of the top 10 most downloaded shows on iTunes. Now, you can't forget that the show is also a critics' juggernaut. Critics really do love this show. It was one of the most talked about new shows of the season, and the New York Daily News and the Miami Herald named it one of the best 10 series of the year, along with many other newspapers. 30 Rock and Friday Night Lights, 2 other new NBC shows that are equally acclaimed critically, have both been picked up for a second season. 30 Rock averages 5 million viewers, and Friday Night Lights averages 6. Both have lower ratings than Studio 60 and are getting a second season. Where, I ask you, is the logic in that? Well, I'm sure there are other factors involved, it's just not fair. Maybe Studio 60 costs too much. The production cost is $2 million an episode. That's a lot. My question is why the show needs that much money to be made. The show is extremely open to product placement that wouldn't feel gimmicky in the slightest, and the more of that, the less it would cost the studio. The less it would cost the studio, the more lenient they could be on the ratings. Okay, so we've talked about why NBC is a bunch of retards for not wanting to renew the show. Now let's talk about why it's NBC's fault for the show's low ratings in the first place. Number 1. Marketing. The show had lots and lots of marketing before the pilot aired. Too much, if you ask me. You couldn't go into a movie theater without hearing about it, and there were commercials for it everywhere you looked. While it endlessly intrigued me, and it got lots of viewers to watch the pilot, the ads gave away the entire plot of the pilot, and thus the pilot felt somewhat lackluster, and many viewers did not return for episode 2. That's not the creators' fault. They made the pilot just the way they liked it, and it was a great pilot. It seemed lackluster to many because the entire plot of the episode had already been given away in the marketing. I realize that marketing is a delicate job, but a retarded monkey could have figured out they were overdoing it. Number 2, the time slot. Once again, a retarded monkey could have done this better. NBC's Monday night makes sense up until Studio 60. First is Deal or No Deal, then Heroes. Sounds good so far. These shows appeal to the same demographic. Then is Studio 60. This appeals to a completely different demographic. A basic rule of broadcasting is to make up time schedules where the shows in them appeal to similar or identical demographics. Studio 60 was screwed from the start. Part 3, the marketing part 2. After the pilot, NBC basically said "F you" to Studio 60 and decided to forgo all marketing. After the pilot, more people might have been brought in if they kept hearing about it. But no, I guess that was too difficult for NBC. So the bottom line is NBC has more reasons to keep this show than to axe it. A lot more reasons. NBC has been doing badly in the ratings because they've lost Friends, Frasier, and other popular shows, and they've needed new ratings juggernauts to take their place. The thing is, a hit show doesn't just materialize. You have to give it time and let it grow like a plant. You must water it, nurture it, give it the support it needs, and one day it will blossom. If NBC keeps dumbing down their programming and axing any show that doesn't get unbelievable ratings from the get-go, they will never get back to their former glory. Studio 60 is a smart show, and NBC has few of these. Not only is NBC shooting themselves in the foot by axing all intelligent programming, they are systematically dumbing down society. The executives at NBC are a bunch of pricks. They're douchebags. They're total jerks. They're dumber than a box of rocks, and I don't like them. Here's what Joe and I think should happen to the executives at NBC. May their blood stain the script of every reality TV show pilot that is written. Well, whatever happens, I will always love this show, even if its run was only 22 episodes.